So after that I came back and I decided that I was going to check out the vending and stuff in the hotel. There's one vending machine and it never works. It's not supposed to work. It is switched on, but it doesn't work. And what it does is it gobbles up your coins. So the stuff in it is supposed to be $1, and you put the money in. It only accepts quarters, doesn't accept notes, and it will not register what you put in properly. It will not give you the money back if you press the sort of button. And so every time you want to use it, basically you put the money in and then you go to the desk and you say, it's not working, can you please help me? And they basically unlock it and give it what you want. And I thought, this is not going to work for getting, you know, something to eat, a snack or whatever in the evening every day. So I went back to Burger King for that time. That night, and then I came back and I looked again at reception, because they're supposed to have a computer where you can connect to the internet, and that doesn't work properly either. You know, and I thought, well, I'm not going to bother with this. You know, if it doesn't work, and it's to do with the hotel and the reception, I'm just not going to bother. So I came back to my room, and it was time to make amends and phone Donna, because this was Friday night, and I had said that I was going to call her on Thursday night. So I phoned her, and I was still a little bit tired, and I left her a message. And when I put the phone down, I realised that I hadn't actually given her the address of the hotel. So then I had to phone her a second time and leave that. And I accidentally said on the phone, I'll see you tomorrow. Which is a complete lie, and I wasn't expecting to see her on Saturday, but it was one of the things that I'd said whilst I was sort of tired, basically. And poor Donna, the next day I realised, was worried that I actually meant Saturday. She thought I might have got my sort of dates crossed, and so she was phoning me. I was obviously out, because I'd gone back to New York, you know, thinking no problem. And so she was phoning to see if I was waiting or not, worried that I'd got my dates crossed. Thankfully, it was all okay. She realised that, you know, if I wasn't answering, I obviously wasn't waiting in the hotel room for her, and so I must have just said tomorrow and meant Sunday, which I did. But I wasn't even aware of that until she told me the day after. So Saturday began as usual with me going to Burger King and having my breakfast, and then it was off to New York on the 9:30 train, bus, usual place. And this time I decided that I was going to start at Midtown. Midtown is the other cluster of large buildings on Manhattan Island, which is just south of Central Park. There is in fact a big space between one cluster of buildings in the middle and one at the end, and that's where most of the residential area is. It's also absent of quite a lot of things, so it was an area that I didn't really venture through. Now, with my Midtown experience, I decided that I was going to start in Central Park, didn't I? Oh no, I didn't. No, I decided that I was going to go to the north, didn't I? Yes. So I thought, well, I'll start in the north, and if I get down to cover Midtown, that'll be what I'll do. So I started in the north, and I came out at Harlem, and I walked around Harlem. I did a few sort of churches around there. Most of them were closed. I headed ever westward, and I finally came to an area called Riverside, and that's where the Riverside Church is, which is basically a cathedral to interdenominational churches. It's huge. It's absolutely fantastic. I did enjoy that one. And then from there, just a little way south, is Cathedral Parkway, where you have the Cathedral Church of St John the Divine. So I looked at that as well, and that was fantastic. And then, as it was still sort of pretty much early afternoon, I walked to Central Park, went in the north, and I walked through the North Woods, avoiding the Great Hill, because I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. Came down to the pool, carried along, walked past the reservoir, and that's when you're sort of basically you're getting close to the Natural History Museum. So I discovered where the Natural History Museum was, but I didn't actually go into it at that point. Then I went back into the park, and I did the Ramble and Belvedere Castle and Turtle Pond. I got to Belvedere Castle, which is basically it was a lookout station originally, and now it's a sort of weather station, and I got there to look around not long before it closed, so I was quite glad about that. Then from there you can overlook the Delacour Theatre, which I did, and then I decided that it was time to go south again, and I was looking for the bird sanctuary, which is supposed to be at the south-west side of the park, Central Park. So I came out at Columbus Circle, and I looked, and this bird sanctuary doesn't exist anymore. Anyway, so it was getting dark then, so I enjoyed Columbus Circle at night. I discovered where the Time Warner Centre was, and the Trump International Towers, and that was the end for that day. And it was time to go home again, and so it was the same routine. Back to Times Square, walk to the Port Authority bus terminal, catch the 7:30 out. This time I stopped at one of the delis there at Ubon Pan, and I had my dinner there instead of having to have it when I got back. So then I travelled back, and I didn't do very much. I think in the evenings basically what I was doing was I was consolidating, so everything that I'd got, I was emptying all the receipts, putting everything back in my suitcase that I didn't need, getting rid of the rubbish, etc, etc, moving the money so I always had enough money for the next day, etc, etc. And that was Saturday. The weather was cool. It's cool in the morning, as in when you get up you feel like there could have been a frost, but probably not. It was a bit crisp, but then it got really warm during the day, and when I mean really warm I mean probably about as warm as London gets in early September. So reasonably warm.